What's up, everybody? We're back once again. Today I'm here to teach you about playing Shaheen. I spent about an hour or two learning how to play him while the Chloe video was uploading, and it couldn't have been any easier. He is a super straightforward character who just has a little bit of everything. He's a lot like Paul in that regard, where he has the basic paradigm of moves. They're all just good versions of the moves, and he has them all. There's very few major drawbacks to the character, and lots of positives. So I feel like picking up Shaheen is pretty easy and it's definitely worth your time, if not just to learn about how to defend him. I think it's a lot of fun to just kind of almost relax with a character. To play someone who's straightforward, doesn't have to work super hard, but feels like good Tekken in your hands. I think it's worth it. So let's start as usual with his punishers. Not one of his better suits, but he's got some pretty good stuff in there. At 10 frames, he has a basic 1-2 jab or 2-1 jab. The difference is 1-2, you can see does 16 damage, and this is +5 on hit. That's a pretty good advantage. Whereas 2-1 does 17 damage and is only +1 on hit. So I can't really think of a better reason to do it. This one is better because you have a significant frame advantage. It's worth 1 point of damage. I don't know, the only difference is that ends in a mid, so if maybe you're worried about missing your punish and they duck you or something, I don't know. But as far as a punish goes, 1-2 is better for 10 frames. At 11 frames, he has 4-1, which should be a natural combo. You can duck it now. They changed from the original build from where it used to jail that you can duck it on block, but I'm still pretty sure the hit is natural. Yeah. So for an 11 frame Punisher, which is pretty rare, he has that. It's also his Magic 4 that we'll get to later. 12 frames, forward 2-3, looks like that. Pretty good chunk of damage, but this move is +9 on hit, which is just astounding. You almost get a guaranteed follow at that point. That's like being in a stance transition for most characters. Tremendous hit advantage. 12 frame Punishers are really common. And you have one that gives you a gigantic advantage to follow up with your offense. Terrific. Can't do much better than that. 13 doesn't have anything. This doesn't mean anything for punishment. But at 14, he has down back 2-1, which is pretty easy to hit confirm. You can see the 2 connect and then let the 1 fly. You actually have a pretty long window there. It's one of the easier hit confirms you see. Down back 2 is a lot more uses than just this one as well, which we'll get to later, but being able to hit confirm everything out of it is really nice. That's a 14 frame Punisher. Terrific. 15, generic down forward 2, and a hop kick. It's a nice flippy hop kick, like most of the new ones are, so they crush things a lot more easily. He should go under jabs right away. But other than that, they're pretty generic 15 frame Punishers. The only problem is if you're extra far away like that, it takes 16 to connect. Certain moves that when they push you back on block that are -15, this won't work on, because at that distance they're not active until 16. That happens in some moves, but if you're up close or if you sidestep or anything, they're 15. So I wouldn't worry too much about it unless you're sure the distance is an issue. In that case, the down back 2-1 is probably just as good an option. That should reach farther if you're concerned about not getting your punish correctly. And if you don't, it's not a big deal. That's not super negative. It's worth it to throw out if you're not quite sure. And if you're hesitant about it, just do that instead. So it's a fairly decent range of punishers. They're not bad at all. The weaker set, I guess, is his while standing. His while standing 4 is 11 frames like anybody else. It's nothing special. 13, he gets that while standing 3-3. That's pretty solid. They changed the original arcade version. He just had a single while standing 3 that used to hit opponents on the ground and hit them in all kind of situations that was just too unfair. It did a lot of damage and it hit grounded opponents for unscaled damage and combos and stuff like that. So they changed it into 2 hits, where the first hit doesn't connect anywhere near the ground. So it gets rid of the grounded reset stuff and maintains the pretty decent damage. 36 is pretty good for 13 frame punishing. 15 frames is this while standing 1, which isn't anything remarkable as a punish. On a counter hit, you get like a little crumple state, but all that is frame advantage anyways. That's not worth much. So really all he has is a good 13 and then he has to go all the way up to 16 to do that. While standing 2 is really rangy. You can see he takes a gigantic step forward. That was about the edge of it. It's actually not as much as you would think. Just inside of 2 backdashes. Wow. That has no phantom hitbox, which you kind of feel like it does. But anyway, it's still pretty decent range for while standing 2. It's only 16 frames, but it's minus 17 on block, so be careful if you're not sure about that one. Typical combos, even though it's a crumple stun, there's nothing different about it. That's really the best use, not even as punishment, to just as throwing out there as an option versus his slide, just like Law. Law can sit there in that crouch and fake the slide or the while standing 2 if he's in the range. That's really what it works best as. So keep that in mind too, but if you get a good staggered low on block, that's your best while standing Punisher. For range at least, that reaches so far forward that it should hit everything, whereas the hop kick you might run a chance of falling short. So that's it for punishing. Pretty straightforward, pretty decent, just nothing remarkable. I think that's the crown jewel. At 12 frames, you're forward 2-3. That's a stupid frame advantage to get on hit. You can do whatever you want out of that. Let me turn this back off. So that's a pretty good Punisher at 12. It's not a knockdown, but I think it's almost better just because of your ability to continue the offense, kick him in the ankles a couple times, and go to work. I really like that a lot. As far as poking goes, Shaheen has a lot of good ones. And they're all pretty straightforward in their usage. They all make sense. They're pretty intuitive. You'll get used to them right away. He's got a couple of strings out of his 1-2. 1-2-2 is a mid. None of these are natural, by the way. 1-2-2 is mid and minus 12 on block. I think that will counter hit though on the 3rd hit. Yeah, it does. So you can get a combo there. That's all that's really for, is if you're throwing this out and you get them to bait into pressing buttons, that little delay right there can combo them. Otherwise, that's not really good for anything. It's unsafe to just throw out. That hits minus 12. 1-2-3 is a high kick that's safe. But the string is high, 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 and they can kind of starting to duck your jabs if they feel like that's all you're going to do is just jab at them. So that's a little risky with very little reward to do the high. 1-2-4 is a mid that knocks them down, but is also unsafe. That's minus 13 on block. So that's also kind of risky to just do. I can't think of too many good reasons to want to just throw that out. If your goal is to bait them into counter poking you, just do that one because you'll get the combo on the counter hit of the 3rd 2. That seems like it's way higher reward versus just hoping they get hit by that and you don't get punished hard. 13's pretty bad. So that's a little bit of a mix-up game built into it. It's not a terrifically practical mix-up, but it's there. You might get lucky with catching that hit sometimes. And the same with 2-1 jabs. That's a high mid, so if they are going to duck you, you can just start doing that instead. Punch, 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 and throw out the mid. One of his best pokes, period, is the Magic 4. It's got a stupendous range on it. That reaches from really far away. And just like everyone else's, he gets the combo on counter hit. His is 11, just faster than a lot of other counter hit 4s. As I mentioned earlier, 4-1, you can duck on block now. It used to jail in the arcade version. But it's hard, you gotta be fast to do it, and now you also have to live in fear of 4-4, which is mid. If you duck trying to anticipate the 1 and that cracks you in the head, you get the knockdown in an unfavorable position. So that makes it, just by its mere existence, a buffer against you ducking that one. There's also a 4-3, which is a high, not good out in the open at all. This is your screw attack in combos, but I wouldn't ever do that out in the open. You want to do this as a poke. And if they start ducking you, feeling reckless, you can do this every so often. That's about it. But the 4-1 is just tremendous as a poking tool. You get that counter hit, an easy combo, stupendous range on it for sure. I mean, you can just do it twice and then do it again. It's going to push them back so far. It causes whiffs. It really messes with them big time. That's one of the better pokes you're going to see, is that Magic 4 and the 1 follow-up. And that's the nice thing about just throwing the 1 out, is you don't have to. You can still get, the Magic 4 by itself and do that. But the 1 also is natural. If it happens to hit them without being a counter hit, you also get that damage too. And like I said, the risk of them ducking it is pretty minimal these days. But be aware that it does exist. So to complement all his jab strings and his high kick strings, he's got average, you know, generic mids. Down forward 1, just like everybody else. Down forward 4 is also pretty generic, but that's also super rangy. You can't ask for too much better than the range on that kick. That's pretty good. Tiny little step forward with it. So those are both tremendous mid pokes to, you know, throw stuff out and then get yourself some free space with that. Down forward 3 is a homing mid. Pretty fast for a mid homing move. That's also an excellent poke to have at your disposal. So right away you can see the foundation of just a strong character, you know? Good jabs, some mix-up potential, good high kicks. The Magic 4 is an excellent high poke, and then really strong, really sturdy mid pokes, including the homing move. Some other stuff that he has is forward 3. He takes a little hop, and on counter hit it gets a knockdown. You can do follow-up stuff like that. So that's kind of a nice tool to have. It'll jump over lows real quickly. But if jumping over lows is your thing, you can just get a combo that way. But this is a nice little tool just to throw out, you know, mix up their timing a little bit. This is forward 3. He's got a down 2, which is a lot like Lee's down 2. He really felt like he was supposed to be a replacement for Lee in the beginning. Just like the speed and the snap to his kicks, the kind of hit misstep that he has in this move really felt a lot like Lee. And he still does. He just feels like a stronger, simpler version of Lee, to be honest. But he has that down 2, which is a pretty nice poke to have. Tremendous frame advantage. Good for throwing out. His other really useful poke you're going to have is down back 2, which is that. Reaches pretty far forward, but as I mentioned in the Punisher, you can confirm the 1 on hit, or you can press down forward to go into stealth step. Nothing is guaranteed out of it, and his advantage during that stance is nowhere near as good as like a Josie or a Miguel. You can beat him to a lot of options out of that, but there's pretty good ones in there. That's why he can go right into a jab. His stealth step 1 is just a basic jab. So if they're feeling frisky and trying to get in there, you can jab them with stuff like that. We'll get to the stealth step in general later on, but just know that down back 2 poke, you can confirm into that hit, or you can use it for stealth step mix-ups right out of neutral game. Down back 3 is terrible. I wouldn't ever use it, no matter what. There's a down back 3-4, which they can see it and duck it. Either they don't duck it, that high is minus 13, and if you don't do the high, that low is minus 19 on block. It sucks. Don't ever do it. Down 4 is much better. If that standing low poke is what you're after for, down 4 is just tremendously good. It's so much better. This is +1 on hit, makes that crunch sound. That's far and away his best low poke. This one is just out the window. That's only useful for wall carrying combos. And the down back 4 is the same. This is down back 3-4. This is down back 4. It's the same high animation. Sucks as a hit in general. I would never do it. He's got a couple other pokes with back. Back 1 is this. It'll combo them on counter hit. You get a nice little full launch there. Oops, didn't mean to do that. Back 3 does that on counter hit. This is a mid that's +1 and forces crouch on block. It's his only really plus frame move in the neutral game is back 3. Pretty good hit, but forcing crouch +1 is good stuff. And like you saw on counter hit, you get that hard knockdown. I forget exactly what you're supposed to do there. If you do it quickly enough, that'll be guaranteed. Maybe not. They might have changed that too between versions, and I never looked into it. But anyway, back 3 is a good plus frame poke. And you get a hard knockdown on counter hit. Back 1 gets you a full combo on counter hit. Back 4 sucks. This is like minus 15 for no good reason. And on counter hit, all you get is a dumb knockdown. That move sucks. Don't ever do it either. The other basic set of poke he has, he's got a standing 3, which is a high, and also goes into stealth step. So that's something else to be aware of. That's a super good rangy attack. If you want to stay at that range and fish for kicks, you're better off using the Magic 4. But 3 is also good because it gets you that stealth step transition. You can cover that ground real quickly. They might not be prepared to knock you out of that, or you could just go under whatever they decided to do. It's worth having. Down back 2 and a standing 3 that both go into it. Pretty good options. He has this, which is forward back 2. It's a high hit with a throw animation, but does 55 damage for some reason. I don't know what that's for. That's too much. Just a really quick punch in the face. Look at that thing. 55 damage just off of that. Boom. So keep that in mind. It's kind of hard to like throw out in neutral game. It's not the best range, but it's pretty good. Like if they're sidestepping and dashing around you, that's going to miss, so be careful with it, but it is out there. His other major hits out of neutral game are forward, forward 3, which you saw that one. Gets a combo off of it, and forward, forward 4. This is his armor move, and it's his only one. It's a high, but it gets you a nice hard knockdown. That's the most of his standing pokes. The jab sequences, the magic 4 sequences, the generic set of mid pokes, down forward 1, 4, and 3. Down 2 from Lee, down back 2 into stance, standing 3 into stance, counter hit launcher, back 1, and then plus frame, back 3. That's the bulk of it. He also has a punch parry, too, by the way. Back 1 plus 2. It's a punch parry. Only, as far as I know, works in every punch, is not elbows and shit like that, so if it's like a Steve character, pretty good tool, or Gigas, it should beat Gigas' rage drive options. So that's there too. And then the armor move. Forward, forward, 4 armor move. Low poking. He has down 3, which is good at crushing under stuff, but this is minus 17, I think, on hit. It also goes into the stance. If you just press down forward during it, it goes into the stance, which leaves it minus 11. Oops. So even if it gets blocked, you want to do that no matter what. You will be safer out of it. Even though in stealth stance, I don't think you auto block. So you're still super vulnerable, but at least you have the option to do this and jab. Something about it. So down 3 is very risky, but it's a good low or a good high profiling kick. It's a ton of risk. If you need to hit him low, that down 4 is just better, period. And I guess that could be one of his weaknesses as a character, is this is his only like really good low. Down back 3, as I mentioned, is terrible. You don't ever want to do it. This isn't natural, it's unsafe. First hit is unsafe, it's bad. This is very unsafe, but at least you have the stance to like fight with. This is the only good one. Down 4 is really his only good low other than slidey. The full crouch, down forward thing. I'll show it to you. The same thing that Law's had for years. This. From a crouch, you do down forward, and 3, and he'll do that slide. That's a good low, no doubt about it. When you get good at doing that, it comes out like almost instantly, and it's really hard for them to read. That's an excellent low. The get up 3 is guaranteed on the other side, just like Law's is. Oh, maybe it's not. Oh, no, it's not. He goes into stealth step. He automatically goes into stealth, and stealth 4 is a low. So you can do that. Hey, I'll get more to stealth step on that in general, but that's his only other good low is the slidey. And it's also excellent for mixing up that, the while standing too. But that would be a weakness. If this is his only good low poke, and this is his only good practical low, I guess you can see that as a weakness, but it doesn't seem to stop him. You know, you could get away with just doing that all day as your only real threatening low. It's just irritating enough to keep them on their toes. That'll really do the trick, to be honest. You don't need a whole lot of other varieties. If you want to try to get out of some poking pressure and crush through attacks, you have that, but yeah, it's not great. Other than that, that's his bulk of poking. Pretty good high with options, excellent mid pokes, below average low poking, and some stance options. But that's enough. That's, you know, all any character really needs. And again, that's a lot like Paul. Paul has like some meager sway options to keep his offense going, but he just has really good versions of generic moves. Shaheen is exactly the same way. These moves are excellent, and they will totally get the job done, you know, if you use them in the prescribed manner. No doubt about it. So Shaheen's stealth step stance isn't the best kind of stance in the game, but it's still kind of cool. It's enough to mess with people. First off, the ways to get into it. You can do it by itself with down forward, but you don't really see in this game. They don't really have dashes like that. That's more of like a DOA type of dash. You double tap down forward and he goes into stealth step by itself. Other than that, you can cancel it out of a couple other moves. Standing 3 and press down forward. Down back 2 and press down forward. That one's a little bit quicker because it's a faster move. Forward 2, 4. That also does it by pressing down forward. I don't like using that one just because this is a string with no other mix-up options. And it goes low-high. People are going to start to duck that as soon as they recognize that. And they're already ducked, and they'll be able to just jab you right out of stuff. So that is an option, forward 2, 4, but it's probably the worst option. I wouldn't consider that as much a one. Unless you panic and happen to do that on accident, stealth step it. Otherwise, that's not a good one. And I mentioned down 3, and you want to do that one just to make yourself a little bit safer. Down 3, down forward also goes into the stealth step. And the other one is the slide. This automatically does it. Whenever he wakes up from the slide, he's in stealth step all on his own. And you can do the 4, which is also a sliding low. That'll hit him on the ground if they didn't get up in time. So it's kind of like Law's guaranteed follow-up, but not as guaranteed. They can stand up. But that's it. Those are the main ways to get into the stealth step. So from stealth step, this is a normal jab. Oops, sorry. Nothing really fancy about it. You can just stealth step right into jab. It's the fastest option. Gets him out of trouble if you think they're getting keen to blowing you up out of it. 2 is a mid option. It knocks him down on counter hit, but this is minus 13. So if your goal is to just, do stance mix-ups out of the neutral game, that's not helping your cause much. I mean, they can just stand there and block that and get minus 13 punishes, which is kind of bad. You're way, way better off to do stealth step 3, which is that. A launcher. And it's only minus 12 if they block it. Actually, if you get far enough away, it won't do the animation. Anyway, if they block the kick, they just stand there, and he's only minus 12. So that's way better than doing this. Oops. That's 13 and gets you nothing. That's minus 12 and gets you a full combo. So I would absolutely go with that as my mid option. And the low is a knockdown, but it's minus 19, so really, really bad on block. But like anything else, you're going to force them into a mix-up. You got to take a little bit of a risk somewhere if they guess you right. So you have a mid launcher and a hard knockdown low, a jab, and you also have tackle with 1+2. I'm pretty sure they can break this. It should be 1+2 like other tackles, but I don't remember. That's just 1+2 out of the stance. A little bit of damage. So another option to keep them honest with it. So that's all there is. There's nothing else fancy about it. Just basic options. Mid launcher, low knockdown, throw, jab. Again, they're not as good as a transition as Josie and Miguel. You can get hit out of them, but if they guess it wrong, you're going to knock them down, get the counter hit, etc. Stealth step 3 is that jump kick, which is also the same as forward 3 and running 3. All do the same thing. They're minus 12 on block, and they all get that combo. It looks like a weird animation, but if you just wait till he turns around and run up, you can do the normal combo just like that. That's a pretty good move overall in general. It seems to track pretty well. If you take a quick step, it wants to catch you. It goes over lows, covers a lot of range. I think that's generally a pretty good launcher to have. Outside of that, he's got one of every little basic thing in the book. The down forward 2, the hop kick, which is a slightly above average hop kick because of its animation. It beats a lot of things with the flipping. But yeah, down forward 2, a hop kick, and an orbital heel. Up forward 3 is an orbital heel. Slightly slower, but safe on block. Cannot argue with that. And a character that has an orbital heel fucking loves orbital heels. They're great. And the only other basic launcher is that while standing 2. Doesn't look like most while standing 2s, but functions the same way. 16 frame natural launcher. So that's a another callback to him just being a generic paradigm. Very typical moves. The uppercut launcher, the hop kick launcher, an orbital, and a while standing 2. His only unique launcher is this guy, which really fits the Shaheen mold. That looks like a very Shaheen move. It's something totally unique and it fits his style. His counter hit launchers are the back one I mentioned earlier. That's a pretty solid move. That's a nice move in general, very rangy, hits low to the ground. That might even hit AOP for all I know. I have never tested it out. I'm pretty sure it'll hit. I don't know if it does anything magic. Should hit relax too, but don't quote me on that. I never really tested it. But that launches on counter hit. The third hit of this launches on counter hit 1, 2, 2. And the Magic 4, we talked about earlier. Magic 4 counter hits. And I didn't mention forward 4. Homing high that he has. If you're in need of a homing move, down forward 3 is a better option, period. But forward 4 exists, and because it's a homing move, it functions as a screw attack, which most things do in this game. And homing screw attacks on counter hit usually immediately cause the screw attack like so. And you can combo from there, etc. So that's it. He's only got 4 counter hit launchers. This back one, the third hit of the jab string, the Magic 4, and the screw attack. That's it. So that's only a grand total of 9 launchers, which is pretty low. But again, they're generic and they're straightforward, and their use is always intuitive. You know exactly when you're supposed to use them. There's nothing finesse about doing them. If you use them where they're supposed to be used, you'll do just fine. There's no trickery in this character. There's just straightforward and fundamentals. You get a good block, you can launch them. You get a little sidestep, you can launch them. Very straightforward. So as far as Shaheen's combos go, there's a lot of options you can do, but usually you're going to get the same thing in most cases. The basic bread and butter combo looks like this. And the screw attack. That is 3 stealth step 2, 3 stealth step 2, and then forward 2 4 4. The 3 hit string by itself. So it looks like this. Down forward 2, 3 stealth step 2, forward 2 4 4 into the screw attack. The only problem with that is if you're far away from like that distance, damn, that was really far. That cannot reach sometimes. If you catch the very tail end of their limb with a down forward 2 or your hop kick, this might fail to reach them in some cases and your combo will drop. If you feel that's a possibility, do the exact same thing but do down back 2, stealth step 2, like this. Same combo. It's like 1 point less damage, but it's a lot more stable because of the hitbox of this. That'll catch them a little bit lower to the ground. So if the 3 will miss them because they're too far away, that one will pick them up. So it's a little bit safer if you're not quite sure. Same about being off axis. Sometimes the combo hits weird on a weird angle. Like that. And it really feels like if you do the down back 2 version, it comes out safer. That one did not. So I guess forget I said that. But if you're worried about reaching from if you just pop them from the very distance, down back 2 into stealth step 2 is a little bit more stable for your juggles. Otherwise, the basic combo off of pretty much every launcher is standing 3, stealth step 2, forward 2 4 4. Like that. Couple of other things you could do. Actually, if you're off axis, now that I think about it, your better option is to do same first 2 hits, 4 3. Do the 3, stealth step 2, then just do 4 3. That seems to be a lot more consistent because the 4 2 2 or 2 4 4, excuse me, goes so low to the ground. That's the problem with it hitting sometimes. If their float isn't exactly correct, they'll go over top of that. So 4 3 is your screw attack, tends to solve it. So if you're really off axis like this, 4 3 is your better bet. That'll be a much easier follow-up. In fact, if it's 1 hit less, you'll be able to run up to them more quickly and have better control on your way to the wall. So for off-axis combos, switch out forward 2 4 4 for just 4 3. Other than that, you can pretty much do the same thing. The longer combo, which I don't think has a ton of uses, looks like this. Oops, I missed the dash. Down 2, 4 1, forward 2 4 4. That works too. It's a little bit harder to do for most juggles. It works better off of orbital and the forward 3 that you saw me do. Just the way that you approach them, I guess, it looks a little bit easier, but it's 1 more hit and I think 1 less damage. So there's not a great reason to use that unless you just kind of like the muscle memory comes out and you want to get closer to the wall by just doing like the first 2 parts of it, like that. You could do it that way and then cut out. It's up to you, like, to judge your distance to the wall and how you want to finish the combo to get there. Like at that distance, you could probably do something like that and you know you got it. So that is an option too. I think that's one of your sample combos in training, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Down 2, 4 1. Forward 2 4 4. So it's an extra hit. You don't really want to do it that way if you don't have to, but it's an option to get a different number of hits or a different path to get to the wall. The combo off of his magic 4, you just go right into the screw attack. 4 1, and then forward 2 4 4. No reason to try to do anything else, because you notice how this hits them, it automatically starts to cause them a weird axis. As I just hit him with this, watch how I keep moving to my left. So because of that, you're going to have a hard time maintaining a longer juggle. If you get this counter hit, which is super easy to confirm, 4-2-4-4, and you're gold. Everything else works pretty much the same. All the counter hits. That one, honestly, I would probably stick to the down back 2 version, just because it takes you an extra second to see you got that counter hit, and they'll go under the 3. Because the down back 2 is a more fail-safe option, I would probably stick to that. This counter hit 1, back 1, I mean. I'd go the down back 2 route, but use the basic combo on it regardless. But that's it. All these other launchers, they work pretty much the same way. Even the forward 4, you could just run up and do the same combo you're used to. That works. 50, gets the wall, whatever. You can mix it up a little bit, you can try different options, but those are the basic tools in the combo. Standing 3 into stealth step 2, and then 1 of your 2 screw attacks. That's pretty much it. To carry to the wall, he's got great options here. So yeah, see, that doesn't reach sometimes. You're better off to just stick to the basic combo and then get your wall carry after the screw attack part because of one move. This. That gets them all the way over there. Well, let me show you how high it floats. I'm in a walled stage. It's a weird distance. Let me just do this. You can see how high that vaults them in the air. Way across the screen. That's 30 feet. That pushes them in the air. And then later in the combo, they get even more carry. So if you're a mile away from the wall, you can just run up and do that. Down, back, 3, 4. As I mentioned, that's the only use for that move. That move sucks in neutral game, but it's got stupendous wall carry. You really can't beat that. This isn't a very long stage, but that would get you another 30 feet closer to the wall. If you're a little bit closer, you can do this. Down, back, 2, 1. That pushes them straight forward, so they're going to hit the ground. That's safe for 20 feet, let's say, for example. Down, back, 3, 4 gets you that last, like 30 feet or whatever. Down, back, 2, 1 can get you 20 feet to the wall. If you're somewhere a little bit closer and you're not sure about your recovery, you can do a down, back, 2, and then stealth step, like this. And the stealth step 2, get a little bit of the floaty time to catch up. Those all work. They all cover a really good distance to get to the wall. If you can't get the wall at all, your max damage option is down, back 2, stealth step 3. It ends a combo by sliding on their chest rather than the launcher part of it. So that tends to work pretty well. The combo that's only, what, 5 hits long, that should be pretty easy to do. Run up to them, down, back 2, stealth step, and then do 3. That's your damage option if you can't get anywhere else. Other than that, it should be pretty easy to get to the wall for this character. You can see this is a relatively short stage. If I just dash forward a couple times, I'm already there. But that move gets you twice as far as the whole combo itself. So you should have a pretty easy time getting walls. Down, back, 3, 4 covers the most distance. Down, back, 2, 1 covers the medium distance. You can do down, back 2 and stealth step 2 to kind of just sort of guess on your way there. Or down, back 2, stealth step 3 for pure damage. Combos at the wall. Oh yeah, I forgot. Forward 3 plus 4. This will floor break too. You'll do that for floor break out in the open. Forward 3 plus 4. That actually also goes into stealth step. I don't think I mentioned that. Forward 3 plus 4, down, forward. You can do that. So yeah, that's your best floor break option is that one. Forward 3 plus 4. At the wall, let me just reset it. Start position, wall. His wall combo works on everybody. It seems like it's one of those ones that should fail on tiny characters, but it really doesn't. And it's this. The wall splat. Damn it. No, it's not. I keep screwing that up. Anyway, it's down, forward 1, down 1, while standing 3, 3. Like that. It looks like that should miss on like characters like Ling, but it generally doesn't. The only problem is if you're a little bit off axis sometimes, the duck jab part will miss, and you kind of the rest of it will miss from that point. But if you get a nice, easy wall carry, even if it's high up in the wall, even if this just gets into the wall at the end of the combo, the down, forward 1, Down forward 1 does a pretty good job of picking them back up. If they start to slump forward like that, it'll still work. It's just a matter of getting in there, close to the wall, and doing these quickly. But down forward 1, down 1, while standing 3-3. This is just a tremendous wall combo. You can't ask for any better than that. If I can do it correctly. Wow. That's the D-pad blues. I'm just doing it on pad so it's quieter for the recording. I'm just not good on it. Whatever. I told you what it is. It's down forward 1. That's so weird. I can't get it to come out. There. Down forward 1, down 1, while standing 3-3. You could do 4-4 to get that wall spike, but he doesn't have any kind of stomp. So there's not a tremendous threat. They're just going to get up. I mean, that's going to hit them if they don't do it right, but even that's not a huge option to really be worried about. You're really just better off just going for the damage in that event. This. That works better than anything else. Down back 2-1 will break the wall once you've already gotten the wall splat. That should floor break as well, the 4-4. So you have the damage option. Down forward 1, down 1, while standing 3-3. You have the wall break option, which is down back 2-1. And you have the floor break option, which is 4-4. Like that. I mean, that's it. You don't really need anything else. That's the basics, like I said. He's got one of everything, and he's got good versions of all of them. So he's got damage, floor break, wall break, at the wall and out in the open, tremendous wall carry, and easy combos. That sounds like the makings of a pretty good character all around. The last element would be his rage attacks, and these are pretty straightforward. There's nothing remarkable about them. Set back to the center, turn on rage. 1+2 is his rage art. Does nothing magic. Covers good range at distance, so for whiff punishing you can get a little bit more. But no fantastic damage or anything. It's just like all the rest of them. It is funny though, it's just 1+2 because he has no 1+2 attacks, if you noticed. They're all individual punches and strikes. He doesn't do anything with 2 buttons. Back 1+2 is his punch parry, but he has no other 1+2 attacks. His only 3+4 attack is that one. There's no like double fist kicks, double fist punches, or double kicks or anything like that. He's all single strikes, which is kind of unique. Most characters have at least a few things like that, but he doesn't. So the rage art is just 1+2. Nice easy command. You might find yourself doing it on accident sometimes, buffer and jab strings. Just be careful with it. His rage drive is actually pretty good. It is down back 2-4. It does that. Because it starts off with this down back 2, which I mentioned earlier in punishment, you can hit confirm that 1 easily. You can hit confirm this 4. Just like that. So it works just like the move would in general. It's a natural combo, and it causes your second screw attack, or whatever you want to call it. Extends your combo that way. But out in the open, you can hit confirm that. Like if they're doing something that's a -14, you can see that and confirm your rage attack and get the whole combo instead of just, you know, this. So during rage, instead of having this, instead of having that as his 14 frame punisher, he has a whole combo, and it's really easy to do. All it is just that down back 2 confirmed into the 4. So that's a pretty nice advantage. In combos, it does the same thing. As long as you haven't used up all of your hits, you'll get that extra screw attack and carry them closer to the wall, etc. Add the wall, it doesn't do anything special. It's probably going to miss them. It won't break or anything like that. So you want to use that. If you're going to use it in a combo, you use it to get to the wall out in the open. Like that. You see how it causes the second tailspin state, which is fairly common. Most rage drives in combo either get you to the wall, get you another combo loop or whatever, or get you a resplat. His is the second loop. You get another screw attack, so to speak. So if you had something like that, that uses your screw attack right away, you got all the time in the world to run up and do that and get the full combo from it. So really all this is just a super launcher for the most part. Pretty good rage drive all around. The fact that it starts in 14 is hit confirmable, so you don't waste it. Pretty damn good. Gets you the combo and extends an existing combo. That ain't bad at all. It's like, again, most rage drives have some kind of property like that, and his is no different. Actually, the only thing that's different is I think you can stealth step. Yeah, you can. If you hold down forward during it, you can stealth step. Yeah. So if you wanted it that way, if you're worried about the wall distance, you could use that one little stealth step too, for example. So that's actually kind of cool. He can do that and decide if he needs the stealth step to get his distance just right. So I gotta say, after going through all of this in order, Rashid's best feature is his wall carry. He can get the wall from anywhere. The down back 3-4 out in the open, his rage drive excels at it, using the stealth step options. I really think that's where he gets well, because he can get the wall from absurd distances, and his wall combo is really, really, really good. That's one of his best strengths. The combo damage in general is good. The wall damage is exceptional. His pokes are pretty good. His punishment is average. You know, he's a pretty straightforward character, like I said. He just has good versions of everything. When you do them right, you'll be significantly rewarded, and you'll feel confident because you got, max damage off of something that wasn't all that hard to do. That really goes a long way to your game plan, is when you perform moves and you get the expected result. Whereas if you're playing, Heihachi or something, and every time you go for an electric, it gets stuffed, but you still hear that sound, it just makes you feel so bad about it. Like, oh, I did the move and I got nothing for it. Shaheen's a character where you do some pretty easy moves and you get good rewards from them, and it just feeds to your momentum. So I really think that's it. He's as simple as it can possibly be, in my opinion. There's nothing really fancy about the character at all. It's just straightforward, it's solid, it's effective, and it's rewarding. So I think for a new character to pick up, this is a really, really good place to start. And he's not full of weaknesses either. You start picking him up, and all of a sudden, you've got a really easy understanding of what is still a really, really good character. Despite anything they changed in his arcade version, he's still really, really good. You could do a lot worse than picking Shaheen. So I hope this helps at least a little bit to get you started with learning Shaheen. So thanks again for tuning in. You can watch me play this game or anything else that I play live at twitch.tv/mastermind6000, and my Twitter and everything is the same. They'll be in the description down below. So thanks again for tuning in, and I'll catch you next time.